This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on The South Today, Dunedin's game development industry receives thousands of dollars in government funding. The future looks certain for grassroots journalism as the government announces a $55 million boost. And with Valentine's Day this Sunday, florists are preparing for their busiest day of the year. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Melissa Barton. Dunedin's game development industry is booming with 7 new and emerging local studios receiving thousands of dollars in government funding. About $400,000 was dished out at the first New Zealand Centre of Digital Excellence, or CODE grants, at a function today.
Dunedin's game development community received a welcome boost in the first ever round of CODE, or Centre of Digital Excellence funding.
The bar has been set high by all of the successful applicants, and many of you in this room will know those people. I am very much, as I say, looking forward to learning of your achievements and hearing more of the success as we grow towards a $1 billion interactive games industry in Aotearoa.
Clark says more than $400,000 has been dished out between 7 Dunedin-based organisations towards a handful of start-up or kickstart projects. Kylie Jackson leads the Otipoti Games Company Limited, who received more than $140,000 in start-up funding to develop the game Pai Moana after submitting this demo.
So the game is in very early stages of design still, and the name Pai Moana, which means sea level or sea horizon, means that there'll be both an above surface gameplay section, so that environment has been loosely created around Otago Peninsula, and also Aramoana, so around the head of Otago Harbour.
The other group to win big is G-Factor Technologies, led by successful rally driver Rhys Gardner, who've received $150,000 to launch Co-Driver, an educational driving simulation game.
Yeah, it's quite compact and it has obviously a steering wheel and pedals. It'd be nice to do driver training experiences just with the simplicity of a phone app, but really you need the physical interaction with the steering wheel and pedals. It's driving as it's more of an experience than a game.
The event was held at Petri Dish, with Dunedin Mayor Aaron Hawkins applauding the work of the city's game developers.
The work of those who've been successful with grants funding today, we left in no doubt as to the talent that exists in this city. And I think it's important to note that CODE isn't trying to start an industry from scratch. It's building on what we already knew that we had and turning it into a key part of the city's economic future.
Today's event was the first celebration of digital game creators in the city, with ICT Minister Clark announcing the second Kickstart and Startup funding rounds, with a matched funding pool of $500,000 across 3 categories in the second round. In Dunedin, The South Today.
Plans have been revealed for a national remembrance service in Christchurch to mark the 2nd anniversary of the mosque terror attacks. The service is intended to build on the spirit of unity formed after the tragedy. 51 people died as a result of the shootings at the Al Noor and Linwood Mosque in March 2019, and many others were injured and traumatised. A national remembrance service will be held at the Christchurch Arena on Saturday the 13th of March. Last year's service to mark the 1st anniversary was cancelled due to COVID-19 restrictions. The program for this year's service is based on what was planned for last year. The government has announced a $55 million boost to local grassroots journalism. The funding, which was announced by Broadcasting Minister Chris Faafoi, is part of the government's relief for COVID-19 businesses.
Broadcasting Minister Chris Faafoi called in on the Otago Daily Times and announced that grassroots public interest journalism across New Zealand is to receive extra funding over the next 3 years.
I'm pleased to announce today that we'll be investing a further $55 million to provide ongoing support for New Zealand's media sector.
Whāwhoi says the cash injection is in response to COVID-19, which saw a significant reduction in advertising, which in turn slashed revenues in the media industry. The 3-year funding boost is to help New Zealanders stay informed through professional journalism at a local level.
The Labour government recognises the vital role that the public interest journalism plays in New Zealand, keeping our most vulnerable communities safe, informed and safeguarding healthy functioning democracy.
Media outlets and journalists will have to apply for the funding, and existing publicly funded media outlets can only use the money for locally themed journalism that is over and above what they're already producing.
It will have to make sure that it's for content that is not already funded. So they would have to offer a new service or content that they're not already funded to be successful as part of a bid.
Distribution of the funding will be managed by New Zealand On Air, and further details are to be made available next month. In Dunedin, The South Today.
A rescuer says 2 climbers are lucky after triggering an avalanche this morning on Mount Earnslaw near Glenorchy. A 26-year-old man was admitted to Lakes District Hospital, having sustained pelvis and chest injuries in the avalanche. His climbing partner, in his mid to late 20s, was checked at the hospital but discharged. Sergeant Terry Wood of Queenstown says emergency services were alerted just before 8 a.m. after one of the men called 111 from his cell phone. The pair were located about 2,500 metres up the mountain on its east face. Florists around Southland and Otago are bracing themselves for the busiest day of the year. Valentine's Day is this Sunday, with hundreds of romantics expected to buy up every red rose in town.
Dunedin florists are already working long hours in preparation for the most romantic day of the year, which this year falls on a Sunday.
Sunday is our busiest day of the year with Valentine's Day, and in preparation for that we are getting in lots of flowers, chocolates, a few soft toys, plants, because plants is a big thing these days as well.
Susan Broadley says the workload in her shop has more than doubled in the week leading up to the big day this weekend, with staff having to do 12 and even 16-hour days, dealing with more pre-orders than ever before.
We're doing about a 2.5 week of work in one. Yeah.
The florist will be open this Sunday to cater for those making last-minute purchases of Valentine's Day gifts, with the shop expecting to sell more than 400 red roses on the day.
At the moment it's shaping up to be busy, but it is on a Sunday, which is generally our quietest day for Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day is named after an early Christian martyr. The day was incorporated into rituals of courtly love in the late Middle Ages, and it became popular 150 years ago through the mass production of greeting cards. In Dunedin, The South Today.
Still to come on The South Today. Strong winds forces the cancellation of the first event at the Burt Munro Challenge, and we take a look at the craft of spinning and weaving, so catch this and more after the break.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
TV, our favourite babysitter, but it can be tough keeping up with what our tamariki are watching. Luckily, the Broadcasting Standards Authority has made some smart changes to the classification labels. Ooh! Plus changes to the time of day certain rated shows will air, and awesome new parental lock features, meaning your babysitter's job is safe. Find out more at safeviewing.co.nz.
Welcome back. Strong winds yesterday left motorbike fans hoping the weather would improve for today's beach racing championships at Oreti Beach. With gusts of wind up to 120 kilometres per hour forecast, the first event of the 3-day Burt Munro Challenge was cancelled for the first time.
The hill climb event in this year's Burt Munro Challenge was cancelled on Thursday due to bad weather.
We've raced in inclement conditions in the past when it hasn't been overly good, but today far too wet, far too dangerous, too windy. Wind is the main factor for the reason for it to be called off in the interest of safety. Met
Service had issued a strong wind warning for Invercargill and Bluff, with gales of up to 120 kilometres per hour expected near the coast.
I was down here at 6:45 this morning. I was here at 8:30 last night. And the weather is very similar. The forecast was supposed to be clearing and it hasn't. With the gusty and squally winds it's a very unpredictable track. And when you weigh up how safe it is versus rider safety, it just wasn't an issue. It was just not going to be safe today.
Seen here in file footage, the thrilling hill climb event up Bluff Hill has long been a part of the Burt Munro Challenge, a motorcycle rally that's grown into the largest in Australasia. It looks as though weather will affect the event over the next 3 days, with yesterday's Harley Twilight drag racing postponed until 5 p.m. tonight. Other events such as today's beach race at Oreti Beach and sprint races on Saturday at Teretonga Park are still set to go ahead. In Bluff, the south today.
Tairi spinners and weavers are demonstrating their hobbies at Dunedin's Community Gallery this week. Many of those involved say they enjoy the relaxing and meditative nature of their craft.
Weaving, knitting, carding and spinning. It's all being demonstrated at Dunedin's Community Gallery this week. Spinner Sarah Gamble says creating something from raw wool is satisfying on several levels.
I quite often get given a fleece and process it from scratch, and you can do whatever you like. It's a lot cheaper to do that than it is to go and buy some processed wool, and it's a lot more individual. Anyone can go and buy a ball of wool, but to actually make it from scratch and make something unique, you know nobody else is going to have anything quite like it.
But you don't have to spin your own wool into thread in order to make creative works, such as this cabbage tree made of woolen felt, or this tableau of a sheep being shorn.
There's a lot more fibres available than there used to be. When I learnt to spin, I learnt with Romney and the grease, and you didn't wash it and it was all tacky in your fingers, but now you can get possum and merino and silk, and we also work with other non-animal fibres like tencel, rayon sometimes, so there's lots of opportunities.
Grant Craig uses a drop spindle for spinning wool, which is a very easy device to take with you for when you might find a bit of free time to spin some thread. He got into spinning as a therapy after a terrible speedway accident that left him in a coma.
It's meditative and it takes your thoughts away from all the difficult things that you've been trying to deal with during the day. You just become not exactly focused, but quite orientated and relaxed while you're doing your spinning.
Gamble says she likes the peaceful nature of spinning and also enjoys following through with making the spun woolen thread into a finished product.
I'm mainly a spinner. I enjoy the meditative nature of spinning and creating something, but then there's a limit to how much you can have sitting around at baskets at home, so you have to think about what you're going to do next. So I started weaving after that, because weaving eats wool, and then after weaving, you know, most people do knit or crochet.
The spinning and weaving exhibition is set to run until Sunday at Dunedin's Community Gallery, with many items for sale. In Dunedin, the South Today.
After the break on the South Today, a survey shows the majority of people in Wanaka are against a new airport at Terrace. And we take a look at the weather heading into the weekend, so see you after the break.
Welcome to Alex Campbell Menswear. Our 3 stores have no shortage of stock. Check these out. We've got the Dunedin print t-shirts. Check out our zillions of short sleeve shirts. These are crackers. They iron themselves in the wash. Iron cheater they're called. And there's some really cool polo shirts with little bright colours. And of course there's no shortage of shorts. This is always one of our brightest corners. Our long sleeve fashion shirts. Jeans, casual trousers, dress trousers, you name it, we have you covered.
Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
So if you're shopping for your family or yourself, come and see Alex Campbell Menswear stores. We're full of stock.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Thanks for staying with us. Protesters in Wanaka are calling for bold leadership from the central government after a survey shows the majority of people are against a new airport at Terrace. Wanaka Stakeholders Group says over 1,000 people were surveyed and 3/4 were opposed to plans to build an international airport in Terrace. The survey says respondents cited environmental impacts on the rural area as their primary concern. The survey also found people are concerned about the impacts on quality of life and road safety. The survey included responses from local business people in the district, residents from all key settlements in the area, and represented all adult age groups. And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South Today. Dunedin's game development industry receives thousands of dollars in government funding, helping to boost the industry. The future looks certain for grassroots journalism as the government announces a boost of $55 million. And with Valentine's Day this Sunday, florists are preparing for their busiest day of the year. And now look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT. Welcome, Barry. What have you got for us in the weekend paper?
Hello, Melissa. We've got lots of things for you in the weekend paper. Target Polytech, a news story on page 1 tomorrow. Otago Polytech is defending spending nearly $8 million on travel over 5 years in the wake of criticism from the Auditor General. That follows a trip a group took to Japan, so that's what led to the criticism. So we have the figures of that spending, which makes interesting reading, and I think the conclusion is that Zoom will be more effective in the future.
Yeah, more beneficial, cost
effective. We've learned a lot through COVID, haven't we?
Yeah, we have.
So 2 climbers who triggered an avalanche on Mount Earnslaw this morning had a very lucky escape, according to rescuers, so we have that story. Independent experts have been appointed to conduct a review into the health system response to the contamination-led contamination in Waikouiti and Karatani.
Good.
Some good news. The blood test results, some are trickling back, and there's been some good responses thus far. So a lot of worried residents have breathed a sigh of relief. So early days, but good signs. Yeah. What else have we got? We've got the Highlanders versus the Crusaders in Timaru this afternoon or this evening. Our rugby writer Steve Hepburn is up there. It's very much a hit out for the two teams, but it may give us some inkling as to what is ahead of us. So we'll look forward to the result of that. The weekend mix is out, of course, tomorrow, and some good reading in that, including budget justice, affordable law. So we're looking at how you can achieve that, amongst other things.
I was going to say, is there such a thing? And also, it's Valentine's Day.
I saw that, so that's really interesting. It's Valentine's Day.
Yeah, I know. We'll have to plan our gifts. Great, and you can catch that and more in tomorrow's paper. And now it's time for a look at tomorrow's weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by Mole Map.
Starting with today's southern view, looking out of a 3rd floor window. As one high pressure system moves away to the east of the country, another will be incoming on Monday, bringing a switch from mild northerly airflow to cooler southeasterlies. Starting off at the northwest of the South Island, it's overcast with moderate winds at times and a bit of cloud for Greymouth with 19 degrees. Westport gets the sun but gusty winds with 18 degrees. To the northeast, fine weather with moderate winds for both Nelson and Blenheim. Nelson hits 21 and Blenheim hits 20. Moving down to Canterbury, it's fine weather with sunshine. Kaikoura reaches a high of 16, Christchurch 18 and Ashburton 18 as well. Moving to the southern towns, the Catlins, Balclutha, Lumsden and Gore can all expect fine weather with moderate northwesterlies and a high of 24 degrees. Moving to Central, it's going to be a lovely day in Central with fine weather for most over here with light northerlies and a high of 26 degrees for Queenstown, Wanaka and Alexandra. Tiana is set for moderate northwesterlies, increasing cloud and still a very decent 22 degrees. Moving to the northern towns, Timaru and Oamaru can expect moderate northeasterlies and fine weather. Timaru sees 21 degrees and 20 for Oamaru. Moving inland, the temperature heats up with fine weather and light northerlies for Twizel with a high of 28. Oamaru is not far behind with 26 degrees. And in Dunedin, some cloud tonight with a low of 6. Fine tomorrow and Sunday with mostly sunny skies and some high cloud. Moderate northeasterlies will become milder. Saturday will see a high of 20 and a low of 11. And Sunday Valentine's Day is looking lovely with a high of 23 and a low of 13. Fine in Invercargill, fine tonight with a low of 9. Fine tomorrow with sunny periods and some cloud. The cloud increases later in the day with moderate northwesterlies. Looking at a high of 22 and a low of 11. And it's mostly cloudy on Sunday with fresh west to northwesterly winds. Still a decent high of 24 and a low of 13. And that's all for our news this Friday and indeed the week. For the latest news from the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz or follow Channel 39 on Facebook and YouTube. Thanks for joining us. Have a lovely weekend. Ka kite anō.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.